A normal school year turned toxic as friendships crumbled. The shocking moment? Camila manipulated everyone, taking my water bottle and disrespecting me. It all began at the start of 2023. I had just enrolled in a new school where everyone in the class was also new, but most of the students were familiar with each other from a different school. At that time, I was extremely shy. The pandemic had recently ended, yet I still wore a mask and a jacket. I did not speak to anyone. I managed to make a few acquaintances, but around March, a new girl named Mariana, a fictional name, joined us. I have always prided myself on being polite, so I greeted her and initiated a conversation. In the process, we forged a friendship. By May, Mariana and I had become close with 3 other girls: Camila, Liz, Marcella, and Nicoli, fictional names. Mariana and Camila are cousins. Initially, everything was going well until I confided in Mariana about some issues I was experiencing with my cousin, abuse. I communicated this to her through brief notes, as I was too shy to discuss it face to face. However, Camila and Liz were upset because I had not shared my struggles with them as well. A few weeks later, they began making indirect comments regarding the notes. They pressed me so much that I ultimately revealed the truth to them. Eventually, Nicoli became part of our friend group, and by the way, Nicoli is quite attractive, which is important later on. By mid-2023, a conflict arose between Mariana and me concerning Camila, and the entire group distanced themselves from me during that period. While I was still at odds with the group, a teacher assigned a group project, and Camila invited me to join her group, along with the other girls. I declined. After some time, she asked me again, claiming Mariana had told her that if I joined, she would leave, which I found out later was false. I refused once more. Then Camila invited me again, stating that Mariana had allowed me to join out of pity and did not want to feel guilty. I declined again, asserting that I did not require her pity. After some time, I began speaking with the group again, and everything returned to normal until nearly the end of the year. One lunch period, I was on the court, which lasts 1 hour. Camila asked me to jump, so I did, and Mariana remarked that I jumped in a rather amusing way. I did not hear her comment, but Camila informed me that Mariana had said I jumped oddly. I let it slide, but it was all right. At that point, Mariana began to argue with Marcella about it, insisting her comment was merely her opinion while Marcella contended it was inappropriate. Following the argument, Liz, Camila, and Marcella pulled me aside, away from Mariana, and began telling me numerous lies about her, lies that were revealed to me after I spoke with Mariana. They claimed that Mariana had said I was jealous simply because I expressed a desire to wear Converse shoes, which Mariana wore at that time, and that something Mariana confided in Nicoli was meant for me. The break ended and we went upstairs. The other girls completely separated me from Mariana. She began to cry and I wished to speak with her, but the other girls prevented me from doing so. The teacher entered the classroom and asked Mariana why she was crying. I am unsure what she responded, but later the teacher called Liz, Marcella, and Camila. The 4 of them stepped outside to talk, while I remained inside. After a while, the teacher glanced at me and smiled. The school year concluded, and Mariana and I ceased communicating. On the first school day of 2024, both Camila and I arrived, but the others did not. Camila then informed me that Mariana had said her friendship with the entire group would change, and that once trust was lost, it would not return to normal, which was a fabrication. Mariana had only mentioned that her friendship with Camila would not be the same. I initiated communication with Mariana again, and during this period, Camila began to bully her incessantly, which I even noticed. Camila constantly sent messages and videos disparaging Mariana, while in person, she pretended to treat Mariana like a friend. She attempted to manipulate me by claiming that Mariana mistreated me, that she was overbearing, and that I did not stand up for her during their petty arguments. I inquired why I should come to her defense, and she responded that she defended me when I clashed with Mariana, despite the fact that I had only argued with Mariana once, and it was because of her. She did not defend me, she simply allowed me to be isolated from the group. She continuously sought reasons to argue with Mariana. Then one day, I confided in Liz that I had disliked her and Camila at the beginning of 2023. Liz dismissed my comment with laughter, but later, while I was waiting in line for the bathroom, Camila suddenly confronted me, yelling and demanding to know if I had expressed hatred towards her. I calmly affirmed this since we were in public, but then she began to shout at me. I cannot recall her exact words, but I entered the bathroom, and when I emerged with Mariana, we approached the table where Liz and Camila were seated. Camila began to argue with me without provocation, leaving even Mariana stunned. When she realized she was losing the argument and that no one would support her, she attempted to conclude the disagreement she had started. Following this, she began to bully me, treating me very poorly and being rude despite my attempts to remain courteous. All of this was bearable, but there were several other troubling incidents. I attend school full-time from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. for 10 hours each day with 3 breaks. One day, I had not consumed any food all day, missing both breakfast and lunch, and by 3 p.m., they distributed cakes. I did not like the cakes, so I arranged with Mariana to get a cake for her in exchange for her water bottle, compensating for what I had not eaten. I agreed, and when I returned with the full bottle, Camila simply snatched it from my hands and started drinking. I attempted to overlook it, but after a time, I asked for the bottle back. She refused to return it. Mariana, the owner of the bottle, requested its return, but Camila spat in it and laughed. I felt awful and fell asleep in class. She later woke me, offering her own bottle, but I declined, and when I mentioned my thirst, she claimed I didn't drink because I chose not to, even though she had previously offered me her bottle. On another occasion, she complained about her hair while I was wearing braids and my hair was frizzy. I mentioned my own hair issues too. She bluntly retorted that I was fishing for compliments. To her, no one else had problems, only she did. Her problems always overshadowed everyone else's. Once, she lamented about her mother, and I suggested she consider her mother's perspective, given that she was working at a low-paying job and raising 2 teenage children while living with her own mother. Camila responded that I never sided with her and would no longer confide in me. Liz and Camila consistently undermined the boys in the class for relying on me and Mariana during exams, despite the fact that we provided them with all the answers for every test. They prided themselves on being exceptional, while lacking any true merit. Furthermore, during school Olympiads with prizes, the rankings were based on grades that they did not earn through effort. They took opportunities from those who genuinely worked hard. Do you recall Nikali, the girl I pointed out as pretty? Well, Camila often spoke negatively about her behind her back, while acting friendly in front of her. This stemmed from a boy Camila fancied who liked Nikali instead of her. She thought it unjust because she had liked the boy first. Additionally, she had a crush on a boy with whom everyone assumed Mariana was paired, which clearly incensed her. In 2023, there was a boy who attempted to coerce me into kissing another girl. I despised him for that, and in 2024, he transferred to my class. Camila simply forgot everything he had done to me and became friends with him solely based on his looks, despite his derogatory remarks about me that damaged my self-esteem. She aligned herself with him, failed to defend me, and expected me to defend her from Mariana during the disputes that Camila herself instigated. Camila loathed seeing me with Mariana, and she turned everything between Mariana and me into a competition. Once, at a math event organized by Mariana and Liz, she arrived late and began complaining, insisting we should be punctual. However, I arrived much later than Mariana, and she remained silent. During that same event, I inquired whether the 4 of us needed to present the model. Camila responded rudely, claiming I had not contributed at all and did not want to present. I clarified that I was merely asking a question and that she had not contributed either. I then asked if there was anything for us to do, and they replied no. After that, she fell silent, then feigned ignorance of the incident and pressured me to attend the presentations she wanted to go to. But all of that was in the past. The breaking point occurred at the end of 2024 when 2 of my friends, Rafael and Pietro, were involved. Rafael told Pietro to go mess himself. Camila assumed it was directed at her and began arguing with Rafael. Amidst this commotion, the classroom became chaotic, making it difficult for anyone to hear anything, prompting the teacher to call in the principal. While Camila and Rafael were in conflict, Pietro attempted to clarify that Rafael had not actually insulted her, but the principal overheard this and assumed Pietro had told a student off. The principal reprimanded Pietro, and neither Camila nor Raphael made any effort to defend him. Pietro received a warning and went home. When Camila returned home, she received a harsh text from Pietro cursing her. She forwarded the screenshot to the girls' group, and we were all taken aback. However, I remarked that he must have been furious, and that is when the entire argument ignited. I will spare you the tedious details of the argument because it would only extend this post, but we spent 2 hours in contention. She refused to acknowledge her wrongdoing, showed no willingness to apologize to Pietro, altered her narrative every 5 minutes, and attempted to shift the blame onto me, Mariana, and Pietro's friends who were not even present in the classroom at that moment. She was outrageously rude, which prompted Mariana and me to express everything we felt. She did not appreciate this, and we did not speak again until mid-March 2025, when Camila returned with her unchanged demeanor. During the argument, she confessed she would not apologize since she had already decided to present herself as right. Story 2. Ayo. After I, 16F, just found out my BF, 17M, had sex with someone else after our breakup that he initiated following our recent abortion. Yes, I recognize that I am young and should not have acted so irresponsibly by engaging in adult activities. I understand that this is a consequence of my choices. However, I am seeking some advice. I apologize in advance for my language. We were in a relationship for 10 months, on and off. I know. It's unhealthy, but clearly, I was foolish. He initiated the breakups each time, and he had never cheated on me, which makes it even more perplexing as to why he decided to have sex with someone else, particularly during this period when I am still mourning the loss of our child. If he had chosen to sleep with another girl before I became pregnant or earlier in our relationship, it wouldn't have bothered me, but to break up with me during this difficult time and immediately pursue someone else seems incredibly wrong, especially since he was also leading me on. He ended our relationship a week before my procedure for no apparent reason, leading me to suspect he may have done so solely to pursue sexual relations with another person. I am unsure if he had been in contact with her before our breakup, considering we parted ways on January 28th and were only separated for 33 days, coinciding with the dates of my procedure, February 4th and 5th. Initially, he claimed we had broken up 3 months prior, and I was taken aback, as it had only been a month. When he revised it to 2 months, I corrected him again, clarifying it was just 1 month. This discrepancy makes me feel like he may have been involved with someone else while we were still together and broke up with me to engage in sex with her without it being labeled as cheating. This possibility suggests that once he realized we had to terminate the pregnancy, he might have felt liberated to act without considering my feelings. We had never been separated for a month before. The longest was 5 days. In the past, when he broke up with me, it was only for a few hours to a maximum of 3 days. I did not think he would actually end things this time, especially under such circumstances and for such a trivial reason. I lost track of time while dealing with my depression and the aftermath of my abortion, which he offered no support during, despite our mutual desire for the child. He never checked in to see how I was doing or offered to discuss it. I, on the other hand, tried to be supportive of him, believing it would be just as challenging for him. But now, I am starting to wonder if he truly cared at all. He had no justification for sleeping with someone else. If anyone should have done something like that, it should have been me since he was the one who broke up with me and was being unsupportive. However, I didn't act out because I truly loved him, plain and simple. Furthermore, when I eventually spoke to him after days of feeling unsupported, I confided in him about my severe suicidal thoughts stemming from survivor's guilt and my deep depression. During that conversation, he was the only time he showed any support after days of neglect, but afterward, he reverted to ignoring my feelings and providing no support. It is baffling how part of me feels relieved to be free from his hold, while another part is saddened by losing him. I despise myself for considering that this situation is a reflection of my actions, as I feel a part of me could have prevented this, but the truth is, I really couldn't. This was supposed to be the time in our relationship when we were at our strongest, most intimate, and supportive. Yet, it turned out to be the opposite. After everything that transpired, our relationship weakened, and I was so focused on maintaining its strength that I failed to recognize that he wasn't contributing equally. I wanted to stay together because of the love I thought we shared, and because I feared being proven wrong yet again by my parents, who held a negative opinion of him. My stepfather warned me this would happen, and I was appalled that he thought so little of the boy I loved when he said, "You shouldn't have put yourself in this situation while going through all this. What is he doing? Living his life as normal while you and your mother are dealing with this?" He was absolutely right, and I am in utter disbelief that he could betray me during such a crucial time. I held him in high regard, believing he was a good person who had been raised right, as he often claimed. But clearly, he was raised poorly. Neither he nor his mother seemed to care about me, and he displayed not a hint of sympathy or remorse for his actions. I would understand if I had broken up with him, or if he had a valid reason to end things, but there was none. He simply fell out of love with me too quickly, which makes me question whether his love was ever genuine or merely physical attraction. I shouldn't have opened my heart to him or allowed him to share himself with me. My mother cautioned me about this from the beginning of our relationship, and I ignored her. Even God was sending me signals, and I chose to overlook them because he led me to believe he was better than that. His transformation into someone I barely recognize has been the most disheartening surprise. I was under the impression that as he matured, he would become a better person, but I was mistaken. I regret deleting our messages, as they could provide greater clarity about our situation. Throughout our conversation, he repeatedly asserted that he had done nothing wrong, exhibiting indifference and a total lack of accountability for how I felt. He is aware of our relationship dynamics and what led to this fallout. He had me convinced that everything was fine and that we were still in love. He was leading me on, while claiming to be busy. Yet clearly, he wasn't too busy to engage in sexual activity with someone else, which demands much more time than simply communicating with your ex who has just gone through an abortion. But what do I know? Clearly, I am just a fool. He even had sex with me before sleeping with the other girl. He should have left without being intimate with me if he had any decency. It's apparent that I genuinely believed we were in love and committed because he repeatedly expressed that he did not want to have sex with someone who wasn't his girlfriend. Yet, apparently, I wasn't his girlfriend when we were intimate, nor was the girl he slept with. The way I discovered the truth was when he asked me to have sex with him again. So, let me get this straight. You had sex with me, then with her, and afterward wanted to have sex with me once more. Would he have disclosed that he slept with someone else had I not said something that wounded his pride? Or would he simply sleep with me as if nothing had occurred? He clearly doesn't even care for her, so why engage with her at all? This complicates matters further. Sex should only be shared with someone you love, and he agreed with this notion when we first started dating. Now that he has the freedom to have sex with others devoid of love, I no longer desire him. Additionally, I sense he may not have intended to tell me and perhaps slipped up. Am I really overreacting, or is his perspective valid since we weren't officially dating? I asked him how he could fall out of love so quickly, especially given that I had done nothing wrong. I was willing to overlook his previous mistakes because I wanted to build a long-term relationship, which he also desired. However, I pointed out that his ex had done something far less severe, although they were broken up at his choosing. She moved on and dated someone else, but he continued to have feelings for her, crying over her, while I hadn't done anything nearly as damaging. It took him time before his love for her faded, but the so-called love he had for me vanished in an instant for no valid reason. Frankly, what she did wasn't even that terrible, so if his feelings for her were justified because of their breakup, how does that make me feel to be treated as if I'm disposable? I feel discarded like trash and mistreated, especially considering he did not genuinely move on. He merely had sex with someone else. The idea that he would refer to her as almost my first girlfriend infuriates me. So, my status as the first person he had sex with and the mother of his first child meant nothing. I didn't voice my frustration about that, but I wish I had. I should have confronted him with it. I truly need to know if I am overreacting or if it is wrong for him to have acted in this way. He believes it wasn't wrong, but I feel it was extremely inappropriate for him to provide sexual comfort to a stranger rather than emotional support to me, his ex, with whom he has gone through so much. It is outrageous that he felt comfortable doing this so soon while we are dealing with everything, which makes me question whether he ever had genuine love for me and whether he cares that we lost our first child together. I know I am rambling and repeating myself, but I truly need advice. A part of me feels this may be God warning me yet again, urging me to heed the signs because this is serious and potentially unforgivable. Conversely, I hold on to hope that this is simply some twisted prank or a test, as I never imagined he could do something like this, especially to me, his best friend, his partner, and the mother of his first child. While I don't want him to leave yet, I know that if this is true and it undeniably is I cannot return to him, I can already feel my deep love for him fading. I can no longer look at him without feeling disgust. I harbor resentment, but I am incredibly hurt, confused, and a bit concerned. I need advice on how to approach this situation, whether my perception is accurate or his, how I ought to feel, how to cope, and how to move forward. I am also looking for insight and stories from others who may have faced similar situations and how they managed. To be frank, the largest part of me feels that all these terrible events are justly occurring as a consequence for me being a coward and letting my child be denied life. I feel undeserving of being alive and happy without my desperately wanted child with me. That is why I sometimes contemplate ending my life. My existence has been utterly miserable since the procedure, and I find myself indifferent to the emotional fallout from this situation. How could the exposure of false love amidst my ongoing struggles affect me? It can't be worse than losing my baby.